Hey there, it's Dr. Corey Gilbert with the Healthy Marriage Inner Circle and the Warrior Marriage Podcast. So last video I did, I talked about the harsh startup, and today I wanted to actually look at the softened startup. So when I enter into the conversation, what should I do? Last time I talked about the you statements. So the idea of you always, you never, or you are. So what should we do? What's a healthy way to engage in this conversation? It's I feel X when Y happens and would prefer Z. That's the formula. It's kind of neat to see that. But that's a critical word. I'm owning this statement in a sense. I feel X when Y happens and would prefer Z. I feel threatened when you yell and would prefer you not to yell. I feel stressed when I come home to a mess and would prefer if you put your stuff away rather than leave it by the front door. Think about some of the ways that changes the relationship. I mean, the goal is in all of our interactions as a husband and wife that we're hopefully drawing them closer. If we're not careful, we fall into defaults that just nicks away at them and makes them like us less and want to be around us less. And so there's ways to encourage change, not demand change, to encourage new patterns, not be someone who's just harsh, but actually to invite them into maybe a different way of doing things. Most couples, most families might even do a New Year's resolution or just kind of this year I want to do this, and it's amazing how none of those tend to happen. We need to actually be doing this every few months. Kind of, are we on track, and what needs to change? And some of the key areas that needs to change is the way that we enter into discussions and conflict and challenging subjects. Otherwise, our default might be to avoid them at all costs. And then we have all these things, kind of the elephant in the room things that we don't want to deal with to try to keep the peace. My wife and I, we've done a good job of that, as in there's things we would avoid to keep the peace because we learned that just being at peace is better, except then you have all this stuff that's not dealt with. So be careful that you don't do that. Just like be careful that you don't kind of go to the other end where one's really harsh and the other one shrinks. And now we're actually in a really dangerous dance because you want to be always, even in a difficult time, drawing them closer. So the formula is I feel X when Y happens and would prefer Z. So the example, I feel stressed when I come home to a mess and would prefer if you put your stuff away rather than leave it by the front door. Little things like that. Now, is it going to change all of a sudden? Probably not. But in that conversation and relationship, little changes can happen that completely change the family atmosphere, culture, environment. Our kids mimic what we do. So they end up, if we walk in the door and leave stuff at the door, they do that. If we walk in the door and put stuff away, they tend to do that. Not so quickly. It takes some nudging at times. But if we leave messes when we're done, they will leave messes when they're done. If we make sure we don't leave the kitchen till it's all clean, they will eventually learn that that's a family kind of rule, if you will, to actually hopefully engage in when they're adults. It's funny how many adults I talk to are 20s who grew up in a home where they saw that. They didn't do that. They rebelled or pushed against it. But now that they're adults, they're now doing that. They're taking care of their kitchen and making sure it's clean. They want their space clean, but they were slobs at home because it's different when it's their space. And so it's a delicate balance as to what battles to fight with your kids. But husband and wife, these aren't battles to fight. This is a relationship. I mean, it's a relationship with our kids too, but oftentimes we see everything as kind of these battles to fight. It's a relationship, and it's developing a culture in the home. And it's funny to walk down the street and think about each home you pass has a different culture, a different set of rules, a different set of things that are really important to one or more people in the house, and how that develops into a subculture, and that really anyone you meet is in a different world than you are in terms of the sets of rules that they have about recycling or about the trash or smells or the cleanliness of the microwave or something like that. So I hope that this helps you in terms of seeing that softened startup, that beginning into a potential hot topic or a hard conversation can completely change the family health and feel, if you will. And may you actually build a healthy, strong, beautiful marriage. Hey there, it's Dr. Corey Gilbert from the Healthy Marriage Inner Circle and the Warrior Marriage Podcast. I would love to actually dialogue more with you. I'm working on building a free Facebook group to actually do more of this and teach more and talk more and actually serve you with specific questions you have. You can check it out at facebook.com/group/thehealthymarriage. It's a free Facebook group, and I want to actually continue to invest in you and help you invest in your marriage and your family to build something that you're proud of and that's strong and that can endure hard times. So again, bless you, and may you build a healthy marriage.